podcast, Picks and Perspective with Chris Johnson. Palpable. Paradox. Polarity.
Get it all going good. Yep, that looks like we're on.
Cool. Oh, I hear your kids back there. How are your family, man?
They're doing good, man. They're growing every day, and it's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Hey, should I set up for doing any playing, or are we just chatting?
I mean, we just chatting, but if you want to play,
Cool.
that's cool too. I'm not worried either way. I just mostly just want to catch up with you and
Cool.
have a good conversation.
Sounds good,
Man,
man.
it's good to see your face, man. I love your smile.
Thanks, dude.
It's infectious, dude.
Thanks, man. It's like I don't know. I don't know. It's every once in a while I got things to be happy for in my life, so I just try to be grateful.
Yeah. Well, that's how I know you, as being a very grateful, like bright, shining person. That's
Thanks, man.
trying to do good in the world. So.
Thanks,
And
man. That's all we can do is try one little step at a time.
yeah, yeah. How long you been in Portland now?
For about a year. Yeah,
Yeah.
I moved out here beginning of June last year,
Okay.
and
Okay.
and we just it's been growing on us a little bit. Of course, I
Yeah.
miss home. I miss home strong every once in a while, man. Like really strong.
Yeah.
But so right now with all the COVID and all that stuff, we can't really travel back home anyway. So helps me
Yeah.
helps me stay focused.
Yeah. It's a big change, man, from Hawaii to the rainy Northwest. But
Yeah, thankfully these last 2 months, man, have been showing us how beautiful it can be.
oh, but when the Northwest, when the sun shines, it's almost like there's not much that can be paralleled to that. Because you
Yeah,
have all the benefit of it being rainy and green all year long, and then it just like the sun comes out and
and
like,
it's
oh,
boom.
this is Eden, right? Like this is the
Yeah,
garden right here.
it's beautiful, man, and you can drive like hour and a half, 2 hours, and get complete different scenery. Like all of a sudden you're surrounded by rivers and just green foliage. It's amazing.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I'm glad that you guys are doing well there, man. That's good. You guys are in Portland proper, or a little outside, or where are you
Little
guys?
outside, so we're in Southwest Portland, so it's
Okay.
I guess still part of down there, but it's like it's far enough not to feel downtown, but close enough to still get stuff done.
Yeah, yeah. So have you had to interface with any of like the riots or any of the protests or anything like that down there?
No, no, it's not. It's not been close enough to home to really cause any disruption.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're just at home writing music and taking care of the family? Is that what's up?
Well, we got our youngest daughter's on the way any day now, pretty
Oh my
much.
gosh.
So I'm gonna have 4 girls.
Congratulations, bro.
Thanks, man. Thanks so much.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
so been at home writing, always working on new project ideas, which is super exciting. And it's just, we just did Live in the Studio Volume 1. We're getting all the preliminary work done for Volume 2 of Live in the Studio with a bunch of guests, so I'm excited for that. If all this COVID stuff stays on schedule, we'll be able to pull it off, so I'm excited. I've been writing a lot, man, practicing, and I've been trying to understand the concept of sweep picking, and that's something
Ooh,
I never had time to dig into, so I'm trying to figure it out now. It's such different mechanics from what I'm normally using.
right. Yeah, it's a lot of like close up to that right hand, close up to the strings, right?
Yeah, I
And
gotta
kind of
kind of
muting.
yeah, and I gotta kind of restrain my, my wrist action. I'm using my wrist as like very moving usually, so now it's like it's learning these new motions and try to make use of the time that I've got at home to come up with all these ideas and just stay busy.
Yeah. So I mean, you don't really. I know you use a pick, but you don't always use a pick. You do a lot with just your fingers, right?
Yeah, well, on acoustic guitar, I'm almost always finger style, but on electric, I usually go between one or two of these guys. It's like on electric
Oh,
stuff. Those are my
yeah, dude. You got the 73 and the 1.0 flow Tortex.
yeah, yeah. I had the thicker jazz ones, but somehow they got away from me, and then I couldn't find the name of them anymore. It's like, oh, I got one, but it's not the really thick one. Whatever. I'm digging in my little. This is. I
That's a
name.
bag of picks.
Yeah, I name my bag so I know what's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had my other one in here, but right now I think it's all Tortex. Yeah, it's all Tortex. I got my green, yellows, and blues in there. I used to almost always use these guys.
Oh, is that a nylon?
Yeah,
What?
that's what I always played. Hold on, I think I lost you. Someone is calling me. I'm gonna call him back.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, I used to
Yeah.
always play nylon because it wouldn't get in the way of my wrist action if I wanted to switch over. It wouldn't inhibit the flow of stuff. But now I'm just like, yo, I want to try all this other stuff, and I need something that allows me to go faster by being there whenever I pick it.
Yeah, yeah. That makes
Here's my
sense.
youngest. She wants to come over
Who's
and say, hey.
this?
This is
What's her name?
Adira. This
Adira.
is.
Hi.
You say hi?
Hi, baby girl.
She's like looking at my
She.
two monitors. She doesn't know where to look.
She's
Now
so
we messed up
cute.
the camera. We messed up the camera. Let's focus it again. And there you are. Yeah, that's
What's up,
Uncle.
girl?
That's Uncle Chris. Yeah.
How old
She's
is
just
she?
pointing it. She's one.
She's just turned 1. Oh man, how adorable.
Yeah, man, it's amazing.
Man, you're so blessed, man. You have such a great lady and great kids, and
Thanks, bro.
I'm so excited for you to be dad a fourth time, man. That's gonna be a big deal, huh?
Yeah, it's a big deal. We're
Yeah,
excited though, man. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope that they feel appreciated and loved, and grow up learning to love other people.
yeah. Well, from the way you present yourself to the world, man, I can't see that not being a thing. From the way my interaction with you and the way I see you perform
Thanks,
and
man.
write music and engage with the world, I think
Thanks,
that
man.
they got a good chance.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. This one starts pressing buttons now.
Then, so did you start out with the nylon picks, like in the very beginning when you
Yeah.
first started playing?
Well, when I first started playing, I think it was like Fender had those like tortoise color ones that were really thin.
Sure.
And then I would play those, and then they would snap all the time. And so I was like, and I was young, so I didn't want to have to be spending, I don't know, 20, 40 cents every gig. So I went and I started using, it was like that nylon, and then it was a variant of it. It was like not this current 50 mil, but it was a different one you guys had. The 60, and it was something between this, but it was like pretty much nylon. And that did it for me because I was like, oh, dude, this thing's not going to break. Like, you can literally
Right.
like go at it and it's not going to break. And it gave so much. So that was mostly for rhythm guitar. I would use it because that's how my dad played rhythm. Electric guitar was always with a pick and it in his right hand. He'd just be going with it. So I was like, all right, cool. That's how I'm gonna learn to play. And then I started to switch over to more finger back and forth, and so I would just hide it like that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I would just stick it in there and go to finger, and then if I wanted to bring it back out, then do it this way. And then I started wanting more resistance, so I wouldn't play it this way anymore. I'd play it that way.
Ooh, with the butt end.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it would get
Okay.
thicker, and then I started. That's just all I did. Like every one of my picks, they were all .60s, and I had a ton of fun playing that way. And then I think it was pretty much, I don't know who it was. It was somebody else. I didn't have a pick, and I borrowed the pick, and I had more resistance, and I was like, oh man, I hate that. And so I went back to playing other stuff, and then I went for a day. I went practicing or something, and I went hanging out with you with Dunlop, and you guys were like, "Oh, do you ever try any of these?" And you gave me like a mixed pack of picks just to try out, and I think that's when I figured out it was just a straight one or something. It was like a really thick one.
That blue one?
No, it was thicker than that. It was like a black jazz pick, and
Oh,
it was like a really thick pick, man. And then I started thinking like, oh wait, hey, wait a minute. I can kind of work with that because it doesn't go anywhere.
right.
And then it on and on and on. So I started trying to figure out what was going to be my go-to.
Sure. I still switch it up quite a bit. I like the thinner picks. I like the flow 73 and 88s, and
Yeah,
I've been playing 60s though, more the orange ones, just because they got that snap and that
they get a
thing.
snapback, huh? I don't
But
know if
when
I
you
have
want
any of the orange. Do I?
when you want you might, I don't know if I gave you any or
Let me see what I've got left. I had a. Uh, no, man. That's the other thing. I've got the pick holders.
oh yeah, that's nice.
So I started losing them when we were on the road. So I bought like four of the big ones and I cut it in half so I'd have eight.
Nice. That's awesome. Man, well the see tell us about your dad a little bit because did you learn to play guitar from your dad? Is that how he
Yeah,
got started?
yeah. So my dad primarily played keyboards and piano, and he had a
Okay.
really good like style with that. And then he kind of taught himself guitar, bass, and all these other instruments. He basically believed like talent. He always described talent like water. You could just pour it into anything. You just have to put the time in. You have to put the
Mm,
time in. So he would teach himself like harmonica, guitar, bass, and all these things. So that's how I ended up learning how to play guitar, was from my dad, and then learning from listening to recordings and stuff. This is all pre YouTube, I call it.
sure.
And so what ended up happening, man, is like, wait, sorry, my daughter's going in the trash can.
Okay.
In my work corner, the trash can is not a safe place to dig into.
No.
Got old yogurt, and a bunch of stuff. Anyway, um, yeah. So what I would do is I would watch him play, and that's sort of where my wrist action developed.
Mm,
So when my dad taught, he did slapping and stuff on the bass, and then he took that kind of wrist motion coupled with a pick. I forgot where I stuck my pick, but coupled with a pick, and it started to kind of look like that. So
mm,
that's how his playing always looked to me when he was like with his right hand would do. And so then I started trying to learn how to play other songs, other styles with the same wrist action. And then the pick started getting in the way, and so I would remove it, and so it turned into that motion of getting kind of hitting the low end, and then either rolling through the fingers or just picking. And I had a couple other teachers along the way that really helped me out in different directions. One was JP Smoke Train.
mm.
One sec. Hey, Ida. Ida. If you don't respond, I'm gonna turn the movie off. Ida. I need you to get your water bottle up there for your sister. Her hydro flask. So yeah, so what happened was what was I? Yeah, I was talking about finger techniques. So one of my teachers was JP Smoke Train, and like pure blues man.
Mm,
Like pure. If you played with him or he was teaching you, it was had to be pure blues technique. So I learned a lot from him about only playing the notes that would enhance the song, not playing as fast, not playing as a lot of rhythm stuff, but
mm,
learning different forms of chords, learning different forms of this. And then there was one gentleman who really like blew my world open, who I only met for 30 minutes in my life, and I'll never remember his name. He was a young military guy, maybe about in his 30s. And he came to visit in our house and was talking to my dad about music. And so my dad sent him over to give me a lesson. And he just explained and showed me the cage system
mm.
and and building that in a different ways down the neck. And I had never looked at the neck that way or learned that before him. And he just kind of came in my life. We talked about music. He showed me that, gave me that lesson, and he was gone. Never saw him again rest of my life, man. And it was
Mm.
like every once in a while people come along, and before that I had my infamous one string solo, I used to call it, or my dad used to call it. It was it was horrible. But before that I was just interested in rhythms and chords and all the melody stuff I'd play on piano. I wasn't really going after that on the guitar. So it was like all this transitional period. I think I was about 18, 19 when I got that lesson. Yeah.
So was piano your first instrument?
Yeah, I've been playing piano and keyboard since I don't know, since as long as I can remember. That was my first
Mm.
one.
That makes sense too. Just like as your dad says, we pour the talent into a different thing, and he's put the time in, right?
Yeah,
Like that.
yeah, he was really serious about that, about putting the time in. He was like, you can, cause, cause we as humans, we can put any title on ourselves we want, right? I can say like, jazz saxophone player because I practiced for 10 minutes, and then like, oh, I'm this, and he's like, no, you gotta pay time. Time's gotta be
Mm.
put in, and that's where you start to get it. You know, you got to get muscle memory. Strong advocate of muscle memory. So yeah, if I wanted to learn something, and thankfully social media wasn't as distracting, not destructive, as distracting then as it is now. It's so much part of our lives now. It's like every
Right.
2 to 5 minutes, I catch myself. Oh, what's going on? What's new? What's the news? And then it was like, man, I had time. I'd sit in a corner all day with my guitar or my piano and just run scales. And if I wanted to learn what somebody was playing, I had to go buy a book or sit in front of the record player or CD player and just loop it. Just keep
Yeah.
going back. So yeah, man, that's basically how I learned. And then going out and trying to play with people who are better than me and much older than me, and then I got sent off stage a lot growing up with my dad. He would send me to play with some of his older friends, and he wouldn't bail me out, man. He would not bail me out.
So you like what you mean? You get on stage and not be prepared or not be good enough or something, and then get
I
sent off stage, or what? What was that?
I I get on stage and run 1,000 miles an hour with a solo on a blues ballad or a soul R&B ballad or something, or like so everybody would just be grooving and be like, "Oh, that's great tone, Ron." They call me Little Ron. Like, "That's great tone, man. That's great tone." All right, now Steve's gonna solo or Chris is gonna play. Just hold back now. Play the chords, and that's what it showed what I didn't know.
Right.
Yeah, because
Oh man.
as a young guy, man, you wanna show off all the stuff you can do, and that's what I ran face into.
Mm. Yeah, that sounds like. I mean, that sounds familiar to me. Like I don't even. I still don't. I'm only now in the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, whatever. Like trying to really understand the support role of guitar, and I've been playing 20 years. You know, like I intellectually know it. I know that you're supposed to vamp and do chords behind other people's thing, right? But like
It's a
my
guitar
main,
player thing. It's a guitar
yeah,
player thing, man. It's
dude.
like you guys good, you guys good. I'm here.
So it's totally it.
Yeah.
I want to be out in front, man, because all my
Yeah.
favorite, all the guitar heroes in my head were out front, and they were the center of attention, and they were
Hey,
taking leads, you know.
your
So
arch nemesis was always the saxophone players and the harmonica players.
because they're in a similar, they want to take the
Uh,
solos too, right?
right there,
Yeah.
man. They come. It was so funny, man. There were so many different things you have to learn, kind of growing up and like just playing in jam bands and sit-ins. I think you learn so much from just sitting in a band you don't know, or just open mics, or just jamming, or just getting in there, because it's like you have to be out of your comfort zone. If you're not
Mm,
leading it, if you're just getting in to learn how to flow with something, I think that's one of the greatest ways to learn and put what we think we know to the test. Is
mm,
because like just sitting in with people and you start seeing all the what not to do really clear. Like I would sit in with some players and they just wouldn't stop. I mean, the singer's singing and you're still trying to get a lick in everywhere, and I'm just like, ooh, so that's why they said for me to hold back. Is that really
and
what that sounded like?
sometimes it takes seeing. I mean, a lot of times it takes seeing somebody else do it and you recognizing it in somebody else before you can see it in yourself, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
like
yeah,
I know for myself, like I didn't have that type of self reflection, and then it takes hanging out with somebody and them going, wait, it's not only 4 bars, bro. Four. This is my turn. Let's like just trade up 4 bars and 4 bars. That's why I call it trading fours. Like,
yeah,
okay. Well,
yeah,
I guess I got to figure out how to feel that section of four
yeah,
so that I can listen
yeah,
better. You
yeah.
know.
The other way that I learned to solo, because it was weird. I played a lot of piano, like I said, keyboards and stuff first. So when I played guitar, it was mostly for the rhythm of it. I love rhythm stuff, and of course, love George Benson and everything. But I couldn't get my head wrapped around learning the solo initially. Even after the lesson with the guy with the Kate system, I just couldn't. I mean, you look at a keyboard and it's all right there. Once you spend time with it, you see everything. And then switch
Mm.
it to a guitar initially, it's like, where where is everything? Yeah. So one of the lessons I'll never forget was like I had just got my first Marshall stack. My parents, of course, funded it, but I was stoked, man. But I couldn't solo, so I was just playing chords and stuff. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And so there's an old friend of ours that he would come in, just in case he sees this. I ain't gonna say his name, but he would come in and give me lessons. And I'll never forget this one lesson. He came in, he was all like, do it this way. And he knew, man, I didn't, I didn't know where to start, like to do a good lick or bends and all that stuff. It was either over bends or under bends. It was bad. It was terrible. But he would work me through it. And I'll never forget. One day, these two girls walked into our shop. We had a home studio where we would jam, and public could just come in. And these two girls came in the middle of our lesson, and then all of a sudden it turned into a shred off fest. And I'm like, man, I can't solo. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, this young guy, man, he thinks he can solo. And he's just like killing me. And I'm like, what the heck is going? You're playing my guitar on my amp, and you're trying to make me look like a clown right now. What is going on? And
Man.
again, my dad didn't bail me out. It was like after the girls left, and he left, and we paid him for the lesson, and he left or whatever. And my dad came over and was like, "Whew, how did that feel?" And I was like, I mean, I was confused, man. And he's like, didn't feel good. You know what the solution is to never feeling that way again, right? And I was like, what? He's like, practice.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's like, yeah, man, you'll go on a big stage one day, just relax, having a good time, and there'll be a guitar player there who just wants to make a name for himself. You gotta prepare, not just so you can overplay, but so you can express in the song, but also defend yourself if those moments come up. And
Mm.
I and sometimes it's just you have to learn that by example, learn it by it happening, and you're like, oh, I guess I better learn to do that, because you hop on stage, you're having fun. It's great to me that the favorite part of collaboration is when you find another musician who's in it for the whole picture. Like you
Mm.
solo and trade with an artist like Eric Krasno.
Yeah.
When
Love Eric.
when he when he plays on stage with another guitar player and he's trading licks, it's really like, let's take everybody on this experience. Let me guitar vocally play something, you responding, and us doing this back and forth is actually painting the picture.
Mm.
It's not like, oh, look what Kraz can do.
Hmm.
It's like he's such a vocal and tasteful guitar player.
Yeah, he's one to, and I think what you're outlining a little bit here is that like when people have musical conversations, right,
Oh yeah,
and they're interested in what each other has to say, and they're listening as
yeah,
the other person does what they do, so that they can have a response that is appropriate,
yeah, yeah,
right? Versus just letting it be noise in their ears. Okay, okay, all right, okay, Ron's done. Now let me show you what I got, because
yeah.
I've been thinking about what I'm going to say the whole time. I'm going to shred his face off. I'm going to try to one up him, And it's like
Yeah.
Kraz is definitely not that guy. You're not that
No,
guy.
man. Yeah, I think a
Yeah.
master of that, a living master right now of that is Derek Trucks.
Oof, for
Man,
sure.
he's got to be the most vocal guitar player alive that I know right now. It's like it's so vocally translated. It just ain't fair, man.
For the rest of us, huh? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I hear him play, and it just right away. I just want to close my eyes and just be in it. It's like, wow, thank
Mm.
you for that. You know what I mean? It's like that's the thing I like about music is you just get surprised every once in a while, and it's so cool.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, I mean, I'm so thankful, especially, you know, every day through the COVID things, being home and mostly being on my own with my dog, that like that music. I mean, I can't imagine this life without music. I just can't. I can't imagine it.
Dude,
Like I don't
we
even
go
know
crazy.
how
Hey,
I
but
would even be a person.
that's also when you get reminded, dude, that you've been struck with the bug, man. That's how you
That's
know
true.
you're supposed to be doing music or connected to music is when you just can't imagine life existing without it. I think. I
Mm,
think that's just that's the stamp that dude, this is who you are.
yeah, yeah, and what you're saying, man. Like I think that's the biggest, one of the biggest revelations for me in my last 4 or 5 years is with music, especially lead playing, because like in the beginning and even not that long ago, I felt like, man, I just gotta learn a couple of tricks, man. I gotta learn a couple of tricks. Where's the trick? What's the trick? What's the shortcut? Can I just, oh, can I do that diagonal lick that kind of sounds cool and is impressive when people are around? Is that the thing? Or is it this super heavy riff? Is it this complicated rhythm? Is it these things? And the more I've been around people like you and all these great players like Kraz and all that, the more it became super apparent to me that, man, you got to come up with something to say.
Yeah,
Come up with something that has space in it too. It doesn't all have to be, you know.
yeah, man. I wish I turned my amp on already. Let me
You can
see.
go for it, man.
Give me one
Yeah,
sec.
there's no time limit here.
I
Go for it.
Oh, I think I lost you, huh?
No, I'm here. I'm here. You just got to turn your video. There you are.
Yeah, I haven't done a sound check, so I hope you can just
It's all
tell me
right.
if it gets distorted or something. But
Play a little bit. I'll tell you. That's good. Mm.
yeah, so I was messing with this lick that I heard on a recording the other day, and it reminded me you were talking about learning tricks every once in a while, and one of them was like I do a lot of sliding without a slide, so it's stuff that's like
Mm.
just to kind of get it more vocal. But then I heard this lick the other day was like so it's like
Ooh.
so, and it, you know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
sitting at home is like it's giving me a lot of time to try to break down licks that are out here, and I'd be like, that's the cool thing about trying to break down blues licks, especially, is because you have to learn a new technique sometimes to get where that person was. Because like all the greats, they had their own way of getting there. There wasn't so many YouTubes and stuff to look at, so they had to find their own way to get there. Like Albert King, of course, Albert King, Stevie Ray, and Buddy Guy. They spent so much time together. There's a lot of overlap in technique. Yeah. So
Sure.
my little one's grabbing my book. But yeah, that was a fun one, man. I was like, wait a minute. So I can slide while bending? Of course I can. So that was the lesson of it.
Mm. Beautiful, beautiful, man. You have such a good, like a real, such a nice touch to the guitar. I can tell the way that you touch the guitar, and like just showing me that bend and slide. Like there's a there's a real special nuance to that, and you got to care for it. You got to really care for like the
Yeah,
way you approach it, man.
yeah. When I was first doing it, it was like being aware of the under or the over bend on the slide.
Mm.
Yeah.
Then, did your vocals start at the beginning too? When you started first doing keyboards, were you into vocals then too, or did that come later?
No, I always loved vocals and listening to vocals. I maybe every once in a while maybe tried to sing something as a kid, but no, man, I didn't actively pursue singing till I was 22.
Oh,
Yeah,
and
it
what was
was
the inspiration around that? When did what brought that up upon your who was the one, or who was the
my my
inspiration?
parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite place to play in a band was always in the back. It was like, cause there's no pressure. There's not everybody having an expectation on you. Reason it was my favorite place is because the music's already going, and just say everybody's just doing this, just doing their thing, right? And if you're this backup guitarist or keyboard player, your job is to embellish and just add melodies. So it'd be stuff like. So I would just play licks like that, not singing, just like playing the background stuff, adding to the song. And one day my parents came in and they were thoroughly convinced. They were like, "Ron, we believe God told us you should sing," and they just stared at
Oh.
me. And I was like, I was ready to run out of that building, man. I was like, there is no way you're getting this guy to sing. I mean, there were three things that were in my way of ever thinking about being a singer.
Hmm.
One, I couldn't sing. Two, I even if I could sing, eventually, I'd never be able to sound like the singers I love listening to. I mean, there's so many. And then
Hmm.
three, I asked my parents, I was like, can you name one professionally successful lead singer that was able to keep a strong moral compass?
Oh,
And
good question.
and they're like, so man, my dad being the guy that he was, he went straight at all three excuses, which is what they were. They weren't valid reasons, they were excuses.
Mm.
And he's like, one, you can't sing. How'd you learn to ride a bicycle? How'd you learn to play guitar? How'd you learn to play piano? Doing it, practice, falling, getting back up. And I was like, all right, okay, fair. And so this was the tricky one. He was like, oh, you can't sound like your favorite singers you love listening to. He's like, well, name one. I was like, well, Stevie Wonder. He's like, what do you love about Stevie? And I walked right into this. I said, he doesn't sound like anybody else. And my dad said, exactly. Why are you trying to sound like somebody else? I was like, dang, I know where this is going. So then, this is like my iron fence. This was my last defense here. It's like, George Foreman. I
Mm.
was like, he was like, there's not one popular lead singer who's able to keep a song more compass. And I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, that's a good one, man. But I don't care if you're work at a bank, if you do the garbage truck, if you bag groceries at a grocery store, or play guitar, or sing. Nobody's gonna make you do or not do anything. That's all you. So if you choose to sing or not, that's not gonna make you just all of a sudden have a moral compass. So that's out of all the excuses, Ron, that one's not valid. And I was like, ooh. It's like, all right, lesson start tomorrow morning.
Whoa.
That was it.
Wow.
That was it, man. They stayed on it with me, and it was, of course, getting through all the tough stuff with technique, learning how to the muscle memory again, learning how to follow what you hear in your ear and how to get your voice to go there.
Yeah.
Of course, what you run into right away in the beginning of being a singer is you run into all your limitations, like all the untrained muscles, all the untrained breathing techniques, and how to get there. You hit a good note, you're like, yes, and then the next 5 times you try to hit it, you land way off somewhere else, and yeah, everybody loves to critique that. So it's like it's getting over all the head games and just going after it, and then trying to make peace with the sound of your own voice. It's That's a hard one, man. Trying to listen back to yourself
Oh
speaking and
yeah.
singing, it's hard. It's
I
hard
can
listening
only
to yourself.
imagine as a singer. I mean, I'm very untrained, and but even though I love singing when nobody's around, because occasionally I do sound okay, but but starting this podcast has done that to me because I'm like,
Oh
the
yeah,
first like 20 episodes, I was like, I listen back and go to edit, and I'm like, oh man, no way, this is trash. Like I don't even want to hear myself talk. Like, and all my friends are like, dude, it's fine. You sound fine. You just sound like you. And I'm like, yeah, that when I sound like trash. And they're like, no, don't talk bad about yourself. I'm like, it's so many
exactly.
opportunities for self hate and for self loathing and for picking
That's
yourself
that's
apart.
that's true, but you gotta be honest with yourself. Would you stand for another friend doing that to themselves?
Right? No,
No.
I wouldn't. No, I
So then,
wouldn't.
so we gotta be that example. One other thing that came up with me personally was like was the fact of making peace with how you sound and everything. It's tough when your parents are telling you you sound good. Well, it's like you're my parents. You have to say that. So
Right.
that's the first thing I was thinking. I was like, you're my parents. You kind of have to say that. It's kind of like in the handbook. And my parents were like, where's the handbook? Because we never knew one existed. And so the funny thing was like, get out, just sing for strangers. Sing for people who you know are gonna be unbiased, who don't owe you anything or don't care about you,
Mm.
and play for them, sing for them, and you'll get that kind of response that you're looking for. That's what happened to me. It's like, imagine if Bob Dylan thought that, oh, I just don't sound good, so I won't write these songs.
Uh,
Man, he's got a very kind of monotonistic tone sometimes.
oh
But
yeah.
man, I love every tune. And
Yeah.
it's like there's tons of singers that could have came up to him and been like, "Hey, you can't do this. You've got no falsetto. You've got no this. Give it up. Hang it up." But I'm glad that even if somebody ever did say that to him, that he kept going, man. It's like I never forget a turning point for me as a singer. There were three main ones. One of them was it was after the 2 years of practice that my dad and I reached a rock and a hard spot. He thought I'd made this enormous progression, and I felt like I was still at day one, and nothing had changed, and I was ready to hang it up. And this woman came in one day. I'll never forget this. And my dad and I kind of basically made a bet, and it was first person that comes into our shop in the morning, you're gonna sing for them. If they like it, you've got to keep trying, but you have to give it your all. If they don't like it, you're done. You don't ever have to try to sing again. And that was our deal. And I said deal. We shook on it. So this woman came in this morning, and my dad was like, "Hey, do you like music?" And she's like, "Yeah." He's like, "You got 5 minutes? We want to play a song for you we're working on." And she's like, "Yeah, sure." So she sat down. My dad played the piano, and I sang "Over the Rainbow." It was my mother's rendition. I loved hearing her sing it all the time. And I opened my eyes at the end of the song, and she's crying, and I was like, "Oh man, see, I knew the singing was bad. I didn't know it was that bad, but she went through the torture of 5 minutes of listening to that song, and she's crying, and when she went to speak, it was the opposite.
Mm.
She was really moved, and then she told us her story, which was undeniably uh, motivated me. And it was, she said, all her life she'd been trained to be an opera singer, and she'd been pretty dang good at it until one day she was about 20, 21 or something, and she was babysitting. And these young guys came in her house uninvited, demanding something physically from her. And she said no and told them off. And a 16-year-old came back with a gun and emptied it in her chest
Whoa.
and laid her there, left her there, just bleeding next to the kid. And I think the kid she was babysitting was 3. She got to the phone, dialed number 911. She can't remember what she said, but then blacked out, woke up in a hospital. When she woke up, only thing she thought was she will never, ever sing again. Because this is your whole world, your lungs, everything, your
Mm-hmm.
diaphragm. She's like, it's over. And she never gave thought again to singing until she saw this frail, nervous, scared young guy singing his heart out to the beautiful song Over the Rainbow. And I thought, wow, man. And I thought, if all I can ever do as a singer is inspire somebody to do the right thing or do what they believe they should be doing with their life, I have to try.
Mm.
I have to try. And that was my major turning point to where I accepted personally that I'm a singer or I have to be a singer.
What a
That was
great
my big
story.
turning point. That was my turning point, man. And it's really just, you, yeah, you can't plan people like that walking into your life and dropping such a heavy story on you. It's like, I was just like, what excuse do I have? And it's like
Yeah.
her voice when she was speaking to us, I never would have known she was an opera singer. Her voice was raspy and kind of heavy, and she's just like she showed us the one scar that was up by her collarbone, and she's like the rest of them all on her chest and abdomen, and I was just like, wow, the things you don't ask for in your life that happen, but there's those personalities that persevere.
Yeah, man. How incredible. Man, that just sounds like God speaking directly to you, man. Like, it's
Yeah,
what it's
dude, I
through
couldn't.
your parents, through this a beautiful
Yeah,
stranger. You know what I mean?
yeah, I couldn't escape it after that, man. And then my life has just reflected me over and over. Just told me like this is what I'm meant to be doing. This is where I'm supposed to be doing, and I live by this scripture in my life now. My parents and I, they always were like, in your life, you have to figure out what your reason is for living, what your reason is for having the gift you have. And my scripture was Isaiah 61. It's basically the spirit of the Lord is upon me to preach good tidings unto the meek and give love to those, basically to those who don't believe they deserve it. And
Mm,
I was like, I'm basically called to be a servant with my life, man, and with my talent. And I was like, if I could do that, then it's enough for me, man. And that's kind of where I keep my focus in my life. If I can be a servant to humanity, servant to people, and servant to Christ, I'm happy. And it's really fulfilling, man, to be able to just write and sing and play and see it brighten up somebody's day or somebody's life just a tiny bit, even if
mm.
just for a moment. It's pretty fulfilling.
That's so beautiful, man. And I'm so thankful for you, dude. Like that really that inspires me. I've already been inspired by you multiple times, but hearing your story around how it came, how you have shown up since then, and hearing the doubt in you at
Dude,
multiple points, right? Like, and I think
yeah.
that it's one of those things where I don't know who said it, but it's like some only someone who doubts can can actually like find the truth or something like that. It's like if you don't have any doubt, then
Ah,
there's
you're
no
not
growth, there's
looking.
no movement, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you've got to have a certain amount of doubt, to overcome that and feel that resistance, that kind of tension in your
yeah,
life, like where you're like, oh, I'm not sure, I'm like, I don't know if I can do it,
yeah,
and
man.
then
Yeah, it
you
also helps.
persevere.
I can't say this part enough, man. It also helps to have people around or have people in your life that see something in you that you don't see in you.
Mm,
Because I wouldn't be who I am, man, if there weren't friends and family or people around that saw something in me that I didn't see. I just,
100%.
yeah, that that's 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 a major part of my story. It's a major part of my life. it's just
What's
it was,
incredible is to just to hear your parents' foresight. Like I think that, and
yeah.
them being so sure, walking in and being like, you know, God said you're a singer, and you're like, oh wait, I don't know, he might not be right this one time. This one time, guys, he's probably
Yeah,
not right.
I was like, that's too much pressure, man. It's like, I need space. I need space, and my
Yeah,
parents, when they're convinced, they don't give much space.
sure, sure.
I was like,
You're,
that's a lot, man. That's a whole lot, and it's like now looking back at my life and all the places that singing has brought me, and all the people that it's connected me to, and my daddy's since passed on, and I was like, imagine they didn't come up and tell me that. Imagine they kept it themselves. Imagine they doubted. I was like, I can't go back right now and get that lesson from them. Imagine I never ever gave an idea to singing. It's like,
mm,
it's so much has changed just from that. I mean, I just thought my comfort zone where I should be is like playing in the back of a band, just having a good time, being in my own world. To me, it's like it's as real as walking through a doorway when music starts, or I go to perform, or I go into music. To me, it's as real as walking through a door. You can physically touch this other world. It's like it's as real as like this pen or this remote. It's as, to me, it's that real. You're in this other world, and there's everything around you. There's music. There's just how people are creating and expressing themselves. It's all these colors and feelings and emotions, and it's just that tangible.
mm.
And so I could just get lost in there, and I never for a second thought that I was supposed to be singing in that space, man. I just didn't think that. So
I can identify, man. I mean, it's a different thing, but I recently just I have some good friends that I've made music with off and on since I don't know, like late teens or whatever, and we a couple of us, like me and my buddy Don, we've been kind of experimenting recording. I remember when I got my first 4 track, and like we're just hanging around and like oh, then you put a thing down, and then I'll put a thing down, you know, and then like we
yeah,
got 2 more tracks, we can bounce it down, and like going through that intellectual like realization of like the layering of how it's going to
yeah,
work, and then you just play it back, and the first couple times you play something back that you're like, that's me and you, bro, like we did that,
yeah.
and it's not even any good, it's not any good at all,
It doesn't have to be, man.
it doesn't have to be.
It's just that. Like, I remember some of my first stuff I did is on guitar. One of them was like it was a practice that I made up, and it turned into a thing. It was. It was like it was just that, and then I think somebody was like, we had like a 4 track. It was like one of those red ones. I think it was Tascam, but you could put like an old compact flash card in it. It was like, and so I could record 1 track and pass, and then we just go. And we just listened to that for 15-minute jam, man. And that's
Yeah,
all we did. And we listened back and we were like, cool. Now
yeah.
what?
I remember, yeah, man, it was so it's such a profound moment, and then doing a lots more experimenting for years, and then a couple of buddies of mine got into hip hop, trying to do hip hop like rap vocals and stuff, you know, and I did a little bit of it with them back in the day, but it was horrible, you know, it's terrible. Uh, and
Hey,
then
man. Hey, we all got to start out sounding like Mr. T, man.
right, yeah, you know, you kind of like
You got it.
you're
You're gone. Tomorrow is now. Say it. You got it. Like, that was an early rap, man, and I thought I was killing it. I thought I was killing
dude,
it.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of those friends of mine are still doing, like they've been doing a hip hop for a long time, and they've gotten better. They've gotten like good at it, doing it right. And
Awesome.
I recently moved back from LA back to kind of my hometown of Chico area, Northern California, and a couple of those guys are around, and like like I want to come over. You got all the studio stuff. Like maybe help me with this track. I'm like, sure, man. Yeah, I'll help you with the track. Dude, like I want to do anything musical with you guys, you know. And they come over and we start messing around, and they're like, all right, cool. So you're gonna take the third verse on this. And I'm like, no, dude, no, I'm good. I'm good. Like, I'll help you. I'll play guitar on it. I'll write bass for it. I'll program the drums. I want like you. I want to be in the back, man. I'm fine. I don't need to be up front. I'm pretty good, you know, and all that. And they're like, no, man, just give it a shot. I'm like, just do this one. I'm like, all right. Well, it is uncomfortable, and I know, and it's not like I don't want to be doing the thing with you guys because I do. We'll see how it goes, you know. And so I took the time. I said, "You guys go away, and I'll write about it." And I ended up doing a verse, and I was like, "Oh, it's not terrible. It's like not good,
Yeah.
but it's not terrible."
Dude,
And
that's
so like
good friends. That's good friends, man.
right? So I was like, and so now they came over a couple more like creative sessions and left me with a bunch of these beats and a bunch of these things they've been working on. And they're just like, hey man, it's all fair game. Like do whatever you want. Write guitar for them, write verses, write a verse, send it to us. We'll put a verse on it, send it back to you. And I was like, okay, maybe. I'm not. No, I don't know if I'm really ready for the thing. And then I don't know. They sent me another envelope, another folder full of beats, and I just opened up one. I was like, oh, I really like this. Maybe I should write some guitar or something. I started kind of hearing a little bit of vocals,
Do
and I was like,
it. Do
I'll give it a shot. So now
it.
I've
Do
got like
it.
I've got three solo tracks now that I'm like in demo form,
Yeah.
right? You know, and I'm like I'm not even. It's total surprise. I wasn't
I love it.
planning that, you know, but
Yeah.
and it's an opportunity though. I see it now, like for me to engage my writing again, like because
Yeah.
I was just focused on this, you know, and like being kind of anonymous in a way by just holding the guitar and not actually using my voice and not using my words.
Yeah, I mean,
But that's
another thing
slowly
I
changing.
recommend is like I got like I don't know 5, 6, 7 books. I never go through a whole book. I just always just randomly pick up one and start
Dude,
somewhere. It's like if you have vocal
yes,
ideas or just lyrical or rhymes or whatever, I just take it out and I just write something um like I'll just jump in here on this verse. One song I just wrote. I just one day I just wrote like something about you keeps calling me back, and I don't know where I should begin. And then it's like, and then went back, and that ended up becoming a song. Like it's just like
mm,
you just sometimes you write a bunch in here. This one I don't even think this is a song yet. It's just like I'll just write stuff in here, and this one's like, "Hey, young friend, I'm just a voice here. I hope you hear me. This world wants you to listen. Rebel the way they told you." Oh yeah, that's kind of cool. Like this world wants you to listen and rebel the way they told you to rebel. Like
mm.
they don't want you to rebel your own way to be an individual. Oh yeah, we got matching books.
Yeah, dude. I was
I
like, dude,
love
I got
it.
this is my hip hop book right here. I've been all my
Yeah,
like music stuff. I've been writing in here.
yeah,
This
dude.
was just last week, a couple weeks ago. I maybe 2, 3 weeks ago. I went and bought one of these. Got one for the podcast. Got one for my Kiesel and artist relations,
Nice,
and I got one for my yoga stuff because I teach yoga, and
nice.
I got that one's the most full because I'm always writing new sequences in there. But
Yeah.
and that was the other little strange like revelation in my brain was that I was like the writing thing. I've been writing a bunch, but for yoga sequences, I'm like, okay, you know, Tuesday night yoga flow. I write down
Yeah.
like what I want to do and how that's going to go out, and it's because I've been practicing this container using an hour or hour and a half long container and then filling it up uh, with
Mm.
the right amount of you know
Of
with a
movement and
real
flow and
yeah real particular flow and very specific thing, you know. And so then I realized I'm like, oh well, this the hip hop tracks, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just curating a vibe and very
sometimes
intelligently, you know,
yeah,
put
dude.
together.
Sometimes I write from two different places when it comes to lyrics. When I have time to sit down and write it, sometimes it'll be like I have an idea of what I want to say, and I want to try to find a clever way to say it, and usually I'm always blank.
Mm,
The other way is I have an idea of what I want to say and convey, and I'm gonna write it as fast as I think about it, so I don't overthink. It's always possible to go back and revise something. But it's like I find that as it goes in your head, as inspiration's hitting, you just hear these words. Don't criticize and critique it yet. Just get it all out, and then go back and look at it. Because maybe as I go through line by line, I just like, oh, that doesn't make sense. But I'm just going and come back. And I was like, oh, it's like a story. Like it makes sense like that because I'm keeping that theme there. Then I bring it back there again. Then it's here again. It's like that one song when I first was doing the song Silent Whispers. It's like that doesn't make any sense. It's like you're saying the same thing twice. But then I was like, I don't care. I'm gonna go with it. And then the definition's gonna come out in the song. And the definition did. It's like you love a friend so much, but they keep doing things to themselves to hurt themselves. But like you can shout at them, and we know usually that never works. So it's like silently, just like silent whispers, silently they just putting it in their lives and silent. It's like reinforcing it over and over, and then maybe they think it was their own idea and they do the right thing. Maybe they drop that bad habit. It's just like silent, just consistently just putting it there, and then it's just like that kind of tough love, man. And that's what the song ended up being. I'm glad I didn't squish it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the idea of like walking your talk and being an example too, right? Right. Part of that is like just to constantly be an example of what it is
Yeah,
that you're
yeah,
looking for, right?
that's the greatest way to be, is to be an example, like living what we're trying to advise somebody or share somebody. Yeah.
Speaking of which,
Yeah.
do any of your youngins have a pull towards music? Are they
Yeah,
playing anything?
they all do a little bit, but I think they're all a lot more intrigued with the drum set than they are with the guitar. But
Okay. Okay.
This one seems to be all about guitar right now. Yeah.
Aw.
You say hi?
Hello.
There you go.
Thanks for the waves, kiddo. So
Hey,
cute.
good job. All right. That is almost done. I think they all want my attention in a minute.
Yeah. So I'm curious. What have you been listening to lately? Are you listen? Do you listen to music while you write, or
Oh.
are you kind of
I try not to. When
yeah?
I'm writing, I try not to listen to much. When I'm studying, I'll go listen to everything. I was just gonna go through and see what's in my top 5 listen to.
Yeah.
Number one has been, I don't know how to say his last name. It's Tom Mish and Yusef
Oh,
Days. They just dropped that
dude,
album. What kind of music?
so good.
Oh
What, man?
yeah,
Man, both those guys are heaven sent, dude. I love
dude.
they have like infinite groove and infinite like taste and
Yeah, it's tasty, man. And
yeah.
then I like listening to a lot of Passenger. I don't know if you know who he is. He's a singer-songwriter.
No, I don't know
He's
Passenger.
he's great, man. It's spelled just like Passenger, and he's just
Okay.
great storyteller. Just great. And then been listening to John Mayer live in L.A.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude, that doesn't
can't
get
go
old.
wrong with that. No.
And the Continue album. And then
Yeah.
oh, my daughter really wants it. The other one is PJ Morton's Gumbo Unplugged.
Okay.
You listen to PJ Morton much?
No, I don't know PJ Morton.
Hey, go check him out. You're welcome.
All right, thank you.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah. Oh man, thank you for the
Yeah.
recommendations, brother.
Yeah, so yeah, PJ Morton, the album The Gumbo Unplugged, he's got so many good guests on there. He's got Yeba, it's got Lecrae. It's great music, man. Great
Okay.
content, good storytelling. It's real stuff. I like listening to music that, feels tangible. You can feel somebody play these instruments and really singing.
Yeah.
That always does it for me, man.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too. I gravitate towards that type of music as well.
yeah. And I still got my staples, man. I'll go to Ghost Note, Snarky Puppy.
Oh yeah.
When
Oh,
when I
yeah.
when I when I really need my mind stretched, and it's like, I really want to listen to some good composition, good out there stuff. It's Ghost Note, Snarky Puppy, man. I love those
Dude, the
guys.
Snarky Puppy group is just that's incredible that they've produced so many. I mean, the collective has so much talent that each little spin-off project,
They
you're
all
just like,
went and
what?
yeah,
Ocante and like
yeah,
Ghost Note and
But what happened is like it's so normal for bands to have spin-offs and then they sound the same. But these guys, they all sound different.
Yeah,
It's like Mark Lettieri's project. It's like, dude,
dude, Mark is ridiculous.
it's like,
Like,
can we get your hands examined? Because it's like we need to make sure you didn't swap them out or something. He's
yeah,
good.
dude, he
Yeah,
is
he's
really
good.
good.
And then you got yeah, with Ghost Note, it's just like the nucleus of that group. I mean, Sput, Nate, Xavier, Mono. It's just like it's really everybody, but this like it's like the interplay between those elements. I mean, it's madness.
Mm,
It's madness is what it is, man, and it's good madness. So like
sure
it's
is.
I'm happy that there's a lot of good music happening like in my lifetime. I'm happy that it's not all going all pop radio stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a strange thing, man.
not to throw shade at anybody, but but I'm not a pop fan.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. I think it's interesting though because there are a lot of people because pop dominates the psyche because you hear it and you feel it
It's
everywhere, right?
everywhere. Even if you hate the song, you're gonna hear it in 15 stores where people it's like it's bought
Right.
and sold and shoved down our throat, man. It's like if more stuff got through, like when Indie Irie came out with their album, when that came out, that wasn't pop, man. But it's like whoa, yeah. And then when Adele first slammed on the scene, it was like
Right.
whoa. And then it's like okay, now there's all this other stuff, man. There's so many good musicians that like imagine what it would do to the minds of kids if growing up is their radio jam was oh, what are you doing? If was Lingus by Snarky Puppy, if that played on the radio all summer,
Dude, that would be the sickest thing ever. We'd have
like
such smart kids.
yeah, imagine they grew up and they're just like humming that in the car because it's every store, everywhere you go, they're like da 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 da, and he's like, and that was what you heard, as opposed to hearing,
Right. And then
you know,
then what would happen, what would happen is that the following generation, if that was
take
one
it
generation,
further, they
well,
take it further.
maybe, or they might rebel and do pop. And pop would be underground. It's like the bubblegum pop would be like, yo, you got any of
Woo.
that Britney Spears, dude? Have you heard I mean, that
Yeah.
stuff's that's mind blowing because it's so simple, right? Like it would be that, how generations do, like,
yeah, yeah, we do. But to argue that like the reason we had like the early hip hop was the way it was is because like the parents of that were like James Brown and the funk, and
True.
like the parents of them were jazz, man, like
Right.
jazz, blues, and real gospel. And the parents of them was going further back. It was like these African rhythms and vibes. With each generation, it became something new. But nobody goes back. So we just keep. Now we got like this auto-tune mumble rap that's like in the top 10. And
Yeah.
I'm like, how about you go read some literature? I don't know.
No, you're right, man. But the good news, I think this is the good news is that even though pop is pervasive, even though it is it seems like it's everywhere, and that's what most people are into, to some degree, that we're actually in such a golden age of music. Like it's literally if you can
There's
think it,
everything being produced.
yeah, if you can imagine it, it's probably out there, and if it's not, it's probably yours to make. You know,
Yeah.
like it's
That's
like one or the
that's
other.
what I do. That's what I do love about all these on demand music services. I mean, not that they're being nice to us creators, but it
True.
really kind of blew the library open to where you can find so many different things.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll search any kind of music and it's there, and it's like some artists you never knew existed. And Brazil creating this music that puts you in just puts you like in a trance for a whole week. Like
Mm.
I'm just listening to this over and over. Like one thing I was listening to the other day, and I put it on. Oh, there go my eyes are getting older on me. I don't know when did that happen.
Oh man, I think it's because of all the screens and the devices, dude.
I was spending so much time, and I actually wrote it in my book because it hit me so hard. This guy's name. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Oh yeah, it was Paulo Frizu, "The Silence
Huh.
of Your Heart," and it was just so good, man. Hey, that's Lily. How you doing,
Hi,
Lily?
Lily.
So it's this one.
Here,
I don't know if you can hear that.
a little bit. Mm.
And it's just like I was listening to that, and I was just like, "Wow, man, this it's just so sweet. It's got little elements of like Miles Davis, Blue and Green, that really mellow, and Bill Evans, but it's like it's his own thing, and it's just like you get music like that, it just coming out of nowhere, and you're just like, yeah, man, somebody's creating somewhere in the world every second. It's
Yeah.
encouraging to keep going.
Are you familiar with that app called Radio O? Do you know that one? It's
No,
so you might really dig this. So
I'm gonna write it
go
down.
and write it down in your book and check it out in the app store later. Um, it's just radio, but it's got like extra 3 or 4 O's at the end, and
Nice.
it is an app that you get to choose. There's a grid, right? You get to choose. You see a map of the world, and you choose a country, a
No
location,
way.
and then you choose a year, and then you choose, do you want it to be like mellow or do you want it to be exciting music, right? So you can choose 1980s Russia mellow, and it'll start playing a random artist
What is it
from
like
that
called?
era.
Time Machine?
No, it's
Radio.
called radio.
Radio with a lot of O's called the Musical Time Machine. Is that
Oh
maybe
yeah, yeah,
it?
yeah. That's it. Yeah, with all the extra O's. Yeah,
Cool, man.
that's the thing. And so like for interesting random, uh, inspiration, like that is a killer tool. Plus, you just get turned on to some random stuff, and you can go as far back as like the recordings go. Like I don't even
Nice.
know when the first recording was, like in early 1900s or something.
They even have a thing called 8-Bit Island and Cinema Island. Cool, man. I think that's going to be my jams for today. Oh, you can
Yeah,
go 1910, 1960.
yeah.
Nice. I want to, what did the 1900s sound like?
You're gonna find out.
Oh, this shit. What happened? Here's my boat. Oh, there we go. There you go. All right. I'm going to be jamming today.
Yeah, man. Well, enjoy that, and let me know if you find something really cool.
Yeah, will do. Hey, I got to
Hey,
start
man.
getting on baby duty.
Of course, man. I know you got the family and everything, but thanks so much for taking the time to hang out and tell stories with me, man. I appreciate that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, big love
For
to you
me.
and the fam, man.
Thanks, man. Love you, buddy.